Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be talking about this little baby here, the DJI SPARK. A lot of you have been asking me questions about the pros and the cons about this and should I actually get one. I'm going to go through them today the best I can, and I'm also going to be going through some editing techniques to actually make your footage look incredible and professional from this little cheap drone, the DJI SPARK. But before we actually get into today's video, I thought it's such a nice day. The sun was out, so I'm going to lift up the drone. I've got the Polar Pro connected to the camera. So yeah, let's lift it up and let's see what we get, and let's go straight into it. Right, so that was another successful flight. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the footage. You never actually know until you take it back and have a good look at it properly on a big screen. So yeah, let's just go straight back now. Oh, it's cold. It's getting cold out there. The winter is coming. Now let's go straight into the pros. Let's start on a high. One of the main things that really stands out for me is the size of this drone. It's incredibly small. It's literally the size of my hand. Have a look at that. In fact, I think my hand is slightly bigger. It's so small. It also weighs absolutely nothing. It weighs 300 grams. And just in comparison, the DJI Mavic Pro actually weighs 734 grams. If you are a traveler, if you're forever on the move, if you're a vlogger and you're going to different locations, and you've got lots of camera equipment in your bag already, and you don't want to take up too much space in your bag, this is the drone you need, which is exactly why I have this drone. I wouldn't want anything bigger than this. So yeah, that's the first pro. Okay, the next thing is how quiet this drone actually is. Of course it is going to make some noise, it is a bit buzzy when it takes off, but once you get it to about 50 meters or even less, and it's actually just above you, you actually cannot hear it anymore. And if you're a bit worried about people hearing the drone and being a bit scared and nervous about it, don't be, because once it's at 50 meters, it doesn't make too much noise. It's really quiet. But for me, that's another pro. I love how quiet this actually is. It's mad. Right, next is its price. It's really cheap. It's a lot cheaper than most other drones. I don't want to be spending a huge amount on a drone. And again, I'm so happy I made that choice. Alright, the next thing is you can actually take this off in your hand and you can actually land it in your hand. So if you're on the beach or if you're somewhere where you actually can't put the drone down, you can just take it off from your hand, get the shots you need and bring it down. Ready? That is so scary, but safe and good. Don't worry about it. This will be really useful if you're traveling around a lot and you're going to locations where you physically can't put the drone on the floor. So yeah, for me, again, that's another pro. I love that you can do that, and you cannot do that on like a lot of drones right now. So another pro. This also has a really good app that goes with this. It's also compatible with all the other DJI drones, so like the Mavic and the Inspire and so on. So yeah, it's really easy to use. It can be a bit complicated when you're first setting up your drone to register, but once you get through that sort of labyrinth, it's really good, it's really easy to use, and yeah, it's just user friendly. For me, this was actually my first ever drone. I don't have much experience in drone flying at all, so yeah, I was really happy with it once I actually managed to get it set up. So yeah, the app is good. I rate it, big thumbs up for the app. Another good thing is it's actually quite safe to fly. And the reason why is because it does have sensors on the front and the bottom of the drone. So if you are flying towards a tree or a wall or something that you actually haven't noticed, this will stop a few meters before it'll actually hit it. So I always keep my sensors on. I never turn them off just in case I'm going to crash into something. You've just spent a bit on this drone, so you do not want to waste your money and break it. Also, another good thing, it has a return to home function. So if you do run out of battery when you're flying, the DJI would just take control, take over, and it will fly back to the original spot where you took off. You just have to make sure you set your home mark before you take off. Now that's really important. Before you take off, make sure you set your return to home marker, because if you didn't set that off and you're flying in the sky and your battery is about to die, this could potentially be flying back to the original position that you flew it in. So yeah, you just don't want to do that. You don't want to be sending your drone to Timbuktu when you're here, because you will not see your drone again, and it could be very dangerous for anyone else that's in the path of this thing. So yeah, be sensible, be safe, and always set your return home markers. Right, so now I'm going to go into some of the cons. Now there's only a few, and I'm going to point them out. The main one that everybody talks about is that it does not shoot 4K. Now 4K is slowly becoming the norm for filmmaking, but remember, if you were just using this for YouTube, if you're just using this for home videos, it does not matter. For me, like, I use 1080p on all of my videos at the moment on YouTube. I don't need anything that's higher quality. I think if you use this correctly and in the right way, and you do some good post-production afterwards on the video, you can get quality footage. And I don't think you need to worry about 4K. The most important thing is what you're shooting. It's not so much the actual technology you're using. It really does not matter what equipment you use. It's just how you use it and what you're actually shooting. I'm going to go more into this in future videos, but for now, back to the drone. So yeah, there's no 4K. It's a bit of a bummer, but I don't mind. It does the job for me, and if you're like me, you're just a vlogger, YouTuber, or you just want to send a drone up and get some good shots, I wouldn't be too bothered either. 1080p does the job for me. The next con is there's only one picture profile, and that picture profile is very highly saturated. It's got high contrast, but there are ways around it. And if you stick around on this video, I'm going to show you how you can get around that and actually get some quality, good footage, which makes it look more cinematic, more professional. But hopefully in the future, in a later firmware, I think they will do an update where you can get some more picture profiles, something with a bit less saturation, something with less contrast, something that's easier to grade. But for now, there's one picture profile, but I've got some tricks and tips to get out of that sticky situation.
What's wrong with your face?
And the last con that I have to mention is that it only shoots at 30 frames per second. Now, ideally, I would like there to be a 24, a 25, and a 60. And I want the 60 for slow motion, because you want to be able to slow that down to 24, 25 frames per second. But it doesn't have it. It might have it in a later firmware update, but for now we've got to work with what we've got. We've only got 30 frames per second. Now this is where the editing comes into play, because now I can show you how we can now take those cons and make them pros. So let's go straight into the edit and see what we can do with this footage from the DJI SPARK. Yo! Right, so we're on Premiere Pro. As you can see, my preferred editing software. You might have something different, but you can pretty much do the same thing across most decent editing suites. Right, so let's go into it. Right, so the first thing I really want to point out. So the frame rate I always use for most of my video work is 25 frames per second. So if you go up here and look at sequence settings, you can see at the top, just here on time base, it says 25 frames per second. That is just my preferred frames per second of choice. It looks more cinematic, it's slowed down a bit more, it looks decent. I don't really enjoy 50 frames, 60 frames that you see a lot now on YouTube. I just don't like it. I may be old and traditional, but it's just what I prefer. I prefer 25 frames per second. The first thing you should do, is highlight your footage like so, control, click, and then go to modify and interpret. So as you can see here at the top, it says 29.97 frames per second. That's what the DJI shoots on. If you click assume this frame rate and then type in your desired frame rate, mine's 25 frames, you can now change all of that footage to 25 frames. So when you are editing in your timeline, you're not going to get that choppy effect on your videos. Also, it does slightly slow down your footage, so it makes it a bit more dreamy, but only slightly. So now you've done that. So now I'm just going to show you how to do a quick color grade to make your DJI footage or your DJI SPARK footage look good, look a lot better. So I'm going to drag on the shot I'm going to be working with. I've got this really cool shot where it's pulling back along this road. It looks really cool and it whizzes past me. And what you're going to do, you're going to go to project, control click, new item, adjustment layer, OK, and you're just going to drag that on top of your footage and stretch that out so you're now covering all of your footage. You're going to go to effects and you're going to type in lumetri. You're going to type in lumetri, you're going to scroll down and you're going to drag that onto your adjustment layer, and then you're going to go to effect controls, and now you can punch in and you start editing the footage that you have just filmed. Before you start, just make sure your white balance is looking good. There's two ways you can do this. You can either click here on this little pointer and you click the whitest part of your video, which is here, and that will then do a change. It hasn't changed it for me, it's still at 0 because I did correctly set it earlier. Or you can go down to temperature and you can go up, which makes it a lot warmer, or you can go down and it makes it a lot colder. I'm going to keep mine at 0 because this is the white balance I selected when I was flying. I like the way it looks, I like the quite orangey, autumny effect that it gives, so I'm going to keep it as that. So now what I would do, I want to bring some more detail into my sky. So I'm going to bring down them highlights to get just a tiny bit more definition, as you can see in the clouds at the top. It's slightly blown out here, but we can work with what we've got. And now I'm going to go down to my curves and I'm going to punch in that S. So I'm going to bring it down on the blacks, I'm going to push up them whites until we get a nice sort of contrast. I'm going to keep an eye on this little blown out part here. I don't want to blow it out too much, but already I think that looks pretty nice. Now what I do, I'd go back to my sort of basic correction tab and I'll go to blacks and I'll just push them up ever so slightly, just so it's not too harsh in the darks. So I'm going to put that to around 10 and that just evens it all out slightly. And already I think it looks quite good. If you do all of your correct exposures and the correct white balance before you actually fly, you don't need to go too heavy into your grade. All you need to do is add that small S curve, and then if you do need to change with the white balance, you can go to the temperature and then toggle it from there. It's really simple. I wouldn't mess with it too much. Because of the picture profile DJI have, it is very saturated, so I wouldn't play with it too much. It's a real simple grade, it's really quick. I will go more into depth about the real big color grading that I do sometimes for my DJI footage, but if you just want to get started and get something looking good right off the bat and it takes less than 10 seconds to do so, then this is the grade you need to do. But yeah guys, I just want to say a big thank you for everybody that's watching. My subscriber count right now is just booming out of the roof, and yeah, it's all thanks to you guys. It's really cool. If you do want to purchase the DJI SPARK, just scroll below into the little bio and there's a link going straight onto Amazon, which is the exact same SPARK and the Fly combo set that I have. Just click it, buy it, and you will not regret it. Anyway guys, take care and I'll catch you in a video soon. Peace, and look after yourselves. Look after yourselves.